Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy hump day. Whew, forgive me if I don't have a bunch of energy. Allergies has been killing me this week. Today, actually, lots of pollen in the air. But my eyes were actually swollen shut this morning. That's how bad it was. So, hey, it's hump day. It's Midnight Express. Not much to go over. Nothing groundbreaking happened today on the pop culture world. We had a pause to the tariffs, which will affect all aspects of life, but not that much. You still got 10 to 15% tariffs over everything else, and then you have like 100 and some odd percent tariffs on China. I think people are going to start realizing just how much stuff is made in China real soon, real quick, especially if you own an iPhone. It might be cheaper for you to buy a BMW before your next iPhone. So have fun with all that. Hello, Clinton. How you doing? Hello, Hal Jordan. Please like, subscribe. Yep, please like, subscribe, share, do all the religion stuff there. Hello, Azteca. Hello, Aussie. Speaking of Aussie, Wolf Creek. There we go. It's not here. That's the problem. The problem is when I'm away from here is where I'm at. When I'm here, I do have an air purifier. I have all that stuff here, but it's like, unfortunately, when I'm out and about, and the air purifier doesn't work at the store. Oh, wow. Boy, does it not have any effect. Ugh. Rest in peace, Dennis Rule. What happened there? Hold on. Man, you always give me these RIPs, girl. Let's see, who is this? Okay, just passed away. How old is this guy? Looks like he was pretty young. Was not I was not aware of his work, but rest in peace. I mean, I think it's kind of cool when anything that's extinct can be brought back. I mean, mankind has driven so many species into extinction. It's kind of sad. I mean, now that being said, don't be bringing back dinosaurs and raptors and shit that can just run rampant and eat us all. So yeah, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Your vision of Hollywood doesn't exist, Fourth. And be honest with you, it's probably good that your vision of Hollywood doesn't exist because it would go broke. It wouldn't. Every time you bring up these things when it comes to trying to detach Hollywood from studios and all this other stuff, it if you follow the logical path, you just won't have movies. All these indie movies and all these other movies, they don't exist without the other ones. It just doesn't happen. So I don't think there's too much you're going to be able to detach from China without, like I said, unless Americans want to pay a lot of money for stuff that they're used to not paying a lot of stuff, you're in bed with China until the bed breaks. So there you go. My UX. What's up, hey, William? Hey, William, should Mary Marvel keep her name if DC is allowed to legally? Yeah. I mean, they use her. They've been using her name since 1973. So, William, thoughts on Batman Part 2 protection getting delayed to 2026? Nothing, no opinion at all. It was already delayed to 2026. For the most part, I know they said they were going to start shooting at the end of 2025, but okay, that could mean December. So 20 more days, you're in January. No, I don't know why everybody's so quick to panic. Not you, Rational, but in general, you have an actor in Robert Pattinson that is a sought after actor. Heaven forbid that a actor that's in high demand is working on multiple projects. I mean, it happens all the time. So I don't think it's an issue. They're both Warner Brothers pictures. And Matt Reeves doesn't even have a script complete yet, as far as I know. So I don't think it's an issue. I think it will get made. But you have the opportunity to make Dune Part 3 a massive blockbuster and a probably Academy Award draw. You're the studio and everybody involved is gonna take that shot before they take Batman. There's just way more money involved in Dune because of the status of that movie. Had it not been for the writer's strikes, we would have already had Oscars stacked up now. But now this is their shot. This is a trilogy. So this is the one that's going to get everybody involved a lot of accolades. So no, it doesn't surprise me at all. I still think Batman's getting made, but this is a business decision. If you have the opportunity to make the Batman or the epic third part of a very successful trilogy that could win you a bunch of Oscars and get you a lot of money, you're gonna take the trilogy. You're gonna take Dune every time over Batman 2. Unfortunately, I love the Dune trilogy, so I'm okay with it. I like the Batman, but there's just no way you can ask a studio or anybody that's on the prestigious level to pick the Batman where it is at over if opportunity to be in Dune Part 3, especially if he's in a prominent role. He would be a fool to take to do that right now. Batman Part 2 is waiting for him. It's not going anywhere. You don't get opportunities like Dune Part 3 that come along like this. Yeah, Tasmanian Tiger. Like I said, just be careful. Some of these things need to stay extinct. I watch enough science fiction, horror, and fantasy to know that some things need to just stay dead. All right, so let's be careful with all this. No, I just don't agree with what you think is slop. That's all. That's also not necessarily true because you got to realize that depending on what his parts are, they could have his parts filmed at a certain time. Not everybody is on set at any given time during those movies. Scenes are filmed throughout. So, if it's a 6-month shoot, then there are 12 months in a year. So, I mean, it doesn't take them long to shoot these movies. I mean, Dune 2 would have already been done had the previous regime not been a bunch of pansies and just shot them both at the same time. Okay. Only because Lolly wants to. No, the customer. See, you want these studios to push these avant-garde movies that nobody fucking cares about. You're blaming Hollywood. Your customer doesn't care about these movies. I'm going to repeat it 2 more times. Your customer, the only reason your studio exists, doesn't care about these movies. A third time, the customer doesn't care about these movies. Some of these movies I like. Every time I hear some bullshit, well, we want something different. How come Hollywood has to stick to the blockbuster model and it's all the same thing? When we make these movies, nobody goes to see them. So don't blame Hollywood. Your customer, they are the boss. They are all that matters. Your opinion doesn't mean shit in comparison to the customer. You have the right to your own opinion, but if the customer doesn't go see these movies and they don't care about these movies, how do you expect Hollywood to keep putting them out? Somebody's got to pay for this stuff, you know? In the smaller creative film, it survived. The only reason the smaller creative films to survive is because most of those studios had blockbusters to sustain the studio. They're not going to starve on these little indies. Sorry. That math doesn't work for anybody. The only reason you get any of these indies is because those blockbusters. Those ones pay the bills. I mean, and like I said, some of these movies are good. Some of these smaller indies are good, but nobody cares. Nobody goes to see them. That's why I get tired of hearing about, let's do something different. Then when something different comes out, nobody goes and sees it. So, yeah, Mickey 17. That was different. That had Robert Pattinson in it. Nobody went to go see it. And for every, one of them that does break through, there's 1,000 of them that don't. And they wouldn't even get greenlit. These movies that you're wanting to see wouldn't even exist if it weren't for the blockbusters and the revenue generators. So, I mean, you can't have one without the other, man. Let's see. Okay, now you guys got a war going on between Terrifier and In a Violent Nature. Two movies I saw and wish I could have my time back. No, Daniel Martin, you have me confused for somebody else. I don't care if they use the volume. I don't care how much they use the volume. I don't care if they don't use it at all. I don't care if they use it 100%. I don't care. I'm not one of those nitpickers that sits around and with the magnifying glass up to the screen looking for CGI errors or visual arts errors. That you have me confused with something else. Unless you're talking to somebody else, Daniel. If you're talking to me, no, I don't care how much they use the volume. Do what you need to do to get your movie made. Yeah. And like I said, all this is subjective. I mean, I don't mind people liking Terrifier or liking In a Violent Nature. I thought they both sucked. But do both of those people could turn around and say Eli Roth's Thanksgiving sucked? And I'll have just as good a time with Thanksgiving too. Yeah, I think I might play that trailer. Let's see. Let's see if we want to get. Do we want to get demonetized? Why not? Fuck it. Oh, YouTube's not working. Let's see. We're gonna hold on. Here we go. I'm just gonna look at it. I only saw it the one time today, so we're just gonna take a look at it. And I know we're gonna get taken down. Not taken down, but we're not gonna. We're gonna lose our 14 cents. Fuck it. Let's go. Let's play it. Let's. God of War, dude.
You are old enough now. It's time I tell you about the monster. We must kill it, or it will kill us all.
All right, that looks amazing. I'm in. That looks like a lot of Predator fun, and it looks like a lot of classic stuff, but a lot of new stuff. It's weird to see Predator animated like that, but the gore is there. I mean, just saw a dude get cut in half, which is beautiful. One dude got just ripped right through the back of his plane with some kind of harpoon. Everything I love about Predator was in that. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Definitely going to go see it on June or watch it on June 6th when it comes out. I know there's also some other Predator projects that are out. We have Prey 2 is happening, and then Batland. So I am happy to see that the Predator, that god awful movie from 2018, did not permanently kill the franchise. Ever since that movie, we've been on an upward trajectory with Predator. So I'm happy to see it. So there you go. Smaller studios or indies. If you're not the big studios, you may as well be an indie when it comes to money. And once again, if you're not requiring, you got to realize you have, in order for these studios to make the money and can keep the lights on, they have to make money at a certain volume. And these small little, we made a movie for 10 million and we made 30 million, yippee fucking do, when you need hundreds of millions to sustain your business model. So that means in order for those smaller ones like that to make it so that your franchise or your business is sustainable, you have to make more, which means you're actually doing 3 times more work than you are with the ones that you're criticizing. And right now, with movies being where they are, and theater attendance being where it is, you're asking them not only to do more work, but to take risk with money that they could be using in something else. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that model. I sort of agree with you, but the math is not agreeing with you. You're wondering, how many of those smaller movies are they going to have to make the volume that it is going to, require to keep the doors open and the lights on? I don't see where the calculations come together. I don't know. I've really, from the day I heard of Minecraft, I have never thought about it as far as like its box office draw, because I knew I was never going to see it. So I usually don't pay a lot of attention. So right now it's at 336 million. I don't think it's going to reach $1 billion. I think it's gonna top out at about 500-600 million, which at 150 million budget, it's pretty good. Plus, it's a POVD mine, gold mine, pun intended. So they're gonna make a lot of money on people who couldn't go see it and the people who saw it in the theaters who want to rewatch it with their family again. So right now it's at 336 million. I don't think it had a big drop this last weekend. Or no, this will be its first weekend out. So I'm thinking about, because there's really nothing. Be honest with you, it doesn't have anything blockbuster wise until May, until Thunderbolts comes out, and by that time it's going to have made its money. And a lot of this is depending on when they put it on PVOD, because even though it's making money, they may want to get that lion's share with PVOD. So it may not stay in the theaters as long as a lot of people think it's going to. Like I said, Saturday night, everything is affected by tariffs. Everything is affected by, even if the item in question is not affected by tariffs, The reason why it affects everything is because somebody works or gets something in the supply chain. Whenever you jam up a supply chain, you're talking about jobs. And guess what? People can't invest in entertainment if they're broke. You know what? Like I said, not every movie like that clicks with me. Like I said, the two neither Terrifier or what's going on, or in a violent nature appealed to me at all. But it appealed to somebody. So there you go. Studios actually need more Minecraft to get kids features to go. Well, that's what I mean. That's a blockbuster, though. You were talking about smaller movies that don't need 450 million. Minecraft does need quite a bit to break even. That's 150 million without marketing. So they spent quite a bit on that movie.
They're already well on their way of doing that.
Well, yeah. Right now they're at 330.
Yeah, they're fine. They're gonna do great.
It's gonna do. I think it's gonna be about 500 or 600 million.
I think it could do more. I think it could do more than that. My audience was really into it. My audience was like they were quoting like, and I've never played Minecraft.
Well, you're okay. How much more? Because I just gave you twice more. I don't think it's going to make twice as much as it's made right now.
I'm not quite at the like giving like the billion prediction yet. I think it could. I think it get like to 7 or 8 though.
I wouldn't be surprised at 7. I'm guessing 6 ish, which on 150 million bucks, 150 million. With the advertising budget, it's probably about another 100 million. That's going to be fine for them, and then it goes into PPOD. I don't see this making $1 billion, but you can't really tell until the weekend drop. See what, because like I said, your first 2 weeks is where you make your majority of your money.
Okay, and by the way, Jason Momoa is just having the time of his life in this movie too.
Well, he's taking roles that he's having fun with. Everybody should envy Jason Momoa.
Well, between this and Fast X, it's like. He's having fun just chewing scenery and things. He's having fun just having fun really on camera. And I would imagine like it's a pretty good indicator of what we can expect from him as Lobo.
I'm expecting something completely different than anything he's ever done in Lobo. I think that role calls on him to be different. I don't think it's going to be enough just for him to look like Lobo. That's kind of lazy. I actually think he's going to be called on to actually become a character, and I think he's going to do that. But I'm not expecting to see just a Jason Momoa with some black and white makeup on him with leather vest.
Well, and that's the thing that really I think, and I think this is going. People are going to see this more and more as as they see him in other things. Like the thing about him as Aquaman is that that's really where he gets. We're seeing a lot more of him, like kind of be very animated and very be kind of the life of the party and be kind of like a rock star. That Aquaman, he's very stoic. He's very even like Aquaman the Lost Kingdom. He's very centered. He's got the mindset of a warrior and a king at the same time. So that's actually some of his most serious work as far as like performance wise. I think really has been as Aquaman. I think that like contrasts really well with like a lot of things like Fast X, like Minecraft, and a lot of his more kind of. And again, it's like I say Rockstar for a reason, comparing it to Minecraft.
Yeah, if I had, like I said, I know that I think the composite type of character that they're going to put in for him, because he's basically taking the place of there's a bunch of people that Lobo you can just be thrown in for. But if you look at Lobo in general, I think the Fast X is closer to the Lobo. But I don't think, like I said, I think he's going to become something different than anything we've ever seen. Okay, you're talking about the general Charge. Yeah, the volume. Yeah, we'll see that. Like I said, I know a lot of people. I just haven't been one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys. If you do it, if it looks good enough for me, I'm okay. When it comes to the volume, when it comes to CGI, when it comes to all this stuff, if it looks good enough for me, I'm fine. Now, when you go get into a Blade Runner or something like that, where the entire movie is literally on that, then it's noticeable. But for the most part, I'm just not that guy who really cares about the volume or the CGI unless it's really, really awful. And even then, if I'm loving the movie for the most part, I can forego. I'm not that big. I'm not going to be a big stickler on the CGI, or else, like I said, I'd have many problems with Black Panther, and I don't. So yeah, I got you, Aseka.
Oh, did you bring this up too from Aaron? Yes, this is somebody.
I did, but I didn't know who he was. This is you guys are throwing guys at me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't know who I did. I gave him rest in peace, but didn't know who he was until I looked him up.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't like a like an A-list kind of guy, but he's a stunt guy. He was involved in like a performance capture for video games. He was he's a movie martial arts guy. He made something in 2016 called Unlucky Stars. It's like an indie. I mean, he crowdfunded that. It took him like 2-3 years to get that ended together because I mean, it was everybody
How old
involved.
was he?
I'm not quite sure. I believe he was like probably like early 40s. I don't know what the cause of death. I don't know what the cause was either. I mean, this really came as a shock to me.
Dead,
Yeah, I don't know what the cause was, but he was he was in the
no budget for that, by the way.
Yeah, for the Unlucky Stars. Yeah, really no budget because I mean he was running a Hapkido school at the time. A lot of guys.
See, I feel like shit because I don't know who these people are that you guys are bringing up, and they're gone now, and I don't feel. There's no tribute for me to give you because I didn't know who they were.
With Unlucky Stars specifically, like one kind of name that's really gotten big out of that was wait, why is his name escaping me all of a sudden? The guy who played the villain in it. Let me look him up real quick. Why is that not Dennis's, but the villain in Unlucky Stars? But yeah, it was like a.
I don't know what Unlucky Stars
is. It was an indie, like again, like no budget. They crowdfunded, made it over the course of like 3 years on weekends kind of thing. And it's really, if you're into Hong Kong action comedy like Jackie Chan, Sammo Hong Kong style, it's definitely for you. And of course, I had the chance to interview Dennis back in 2016 about it, and it was a real pleasure getting to do that. He was just a hell of a performer, hell of a stuntman, hell of a martial artist, and he will definitely you'll be very much be missed. And it came just total shock. Hear that? Yeah, Sam Hargrave. Yeah, the name I have is the villain in Unlucky Stars, Sam Hargrave, who would go on to be or he was, I should say, prior to that. Chris Evans stunt guy as Captain America, and he would go on to direct the Extraction movies. Right. So, like a lot of the stunt guys, it's like they can have the thing about that is I found, especially interviewing so many of them, is they tend to be in terms of like the hierarchy and like in Hollywood and the film industry, they're almost kind of like they kind of fall. What's the best way to put it? It's like they're a little bit more kind of like the blue collar, maybe kind of like a classification in the sense that they're really easy to reach on social media. Like I've gotten a lot of interviews and like gotten a lot of connections with a lot of stunt people and fight choreographers just through reaching out on Facebook, Twitter, and Dennis was definitely among that. And that's what makes them, they're very approachable in that respect. Cause again, they're cool. I imagine probably a lot of people, even not in the journalism world, like you've bumped into like on Facebook or on social media somebody who's done stunt work or who's done things of that nature. On big blockbusters, and Dennis, he did a lot of great work and just gone too soon. I mean, that news just really shocked me. We still don't know the cause either, so I don't know whether he had some kind of like underlying illness or what the case was, but it was very heartbreaking to see that. So rest in peace, Dennis. I'll go ahead and share my interview with Dennis in the chat for you guys, and everybody go on Amazon, give Unlucky Stars a look. I think you guys will dig it.
All right, but William, I'll have you know that Shazam had a higher. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so and this goes to what Fourth is saying.
God, I'm so tired of hearing that line. Please. Right. I'm just gonna let you have the floor on that.
Profit margin doesn't mean shit without volume.
Yes.
Profit margin doesn't mean Jack Charlie shit without volume. If I have a Funko Pop that I bought for $14 and I sell it for $28, wow, wonderful. But if I don't have 500 or so many more, then it's not cost effective. I need the volume. Coming out ahead of a percentage of any particular given project is not good enough if I need volume. What is $28 going to do for my power bill? Nothing. I need volume. I need to be able to do, to turn around. And now if I have something for 28 and it sells a certain amount, you have to make a certain amount for the volume to justify the expenditure. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Yeah, Shazam was profitable, and a lot of people were saying, "Well, this is the kind of movies that DC should be made because they're profitable." No, they couldn't do that. The liability and the leverage on a Warner Brothers or a studio that size is not going to be able to sustain themselves on the maybe $20 million profit that particular movie made. They need volume. That's why they borrow the money to do these things, and they promise people a percentage off the top, because it doesn't matter. You cannot sustain an operation of any given size just based on product unless you're doing it across the board. But you'd have to do it with much larger movies. You'd have to do it with the frequency. If you're not making, and this is a problem with DC, if you're not making a bunch of desirable movies at that profit margin, it doesn't matter. Congratulations, you got enough people to go see Shazam to where it was profitable for you. But you made $300 million. You spent $90 million, and you made $300 million. Now that's great. That's wonderful. But look what the expenses and the overhead and everything else of running that studio is. So for every one of those, you have to have something that brings in the leverage for you to be able to make a movie like Shazam. And it's the same thing with any retail. Profit margin and volume must go hand in hand, or you don't have anything. You have a great sale. You need great sales.
Yeah, that's a one-off. That's a one-off thing. And I mean, never get, to bring up, to tack onto that point, we had a while back, Greg Silverman, who was the former CEO of Warner Brothers, come out and say, we kind of debunked some people on Twitter saying, no, actually, Zach's, his movies were very profitable for us. Like, were his exact words.
And you're talking about hundreds of millions of profit as opposed to Shazam, which made maybe hundreds of, but you needed Superman, Man of Steel, because of product placement and everything else, was a immensely profitable movie. So you're talking about
on that.
So if you would have handled that right, you would have gone from one profitable movie to another. That gives you the volume that you need. So when you're talking about 3 of those movies versus a Shazam movie that just barely total made less than $400 million, that's just not enough. Small studio films are not indies; they are small studio films. Okay, for the purposes of math, it's semantics at this point. It's still sustainability. And the problem with your argument here with small studios films and making these smaller films is nobody fucking goes to see them. How many times on any of these shows where we ran a trailer for something that looks cool and different and only look at the fact that nobody sees them? It's on POVD, not just because they're greedy about PVOD, because nobody went to go see it, and now they got to stem their losses. I mean, Mickey 17.
Novocaine. Monkey Man was pretty quick turnaround. World, yeah.
So you can't expect a studio to favor those movies. It sucks because all the above are great movies, but where's the volume at? And some of these movies aren't movies that are going to be, a family PO. Monkey Man is definitely not a family POVD movie. So your justification for renting some of these movies on PVOD goes down when they're these abstract movies. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm telling you, like I said, that's why I'm a big fan of streaming, because some of these movies that are really kick ass wouldn't be made if it wasn't for streaming to be able to backstop the risk. Yeah. But I don't expect the big studios to do it, and I don't expect a lot of people to take to it. I expect Netflix to do it. I expect Apple to do it. But everybody else, it's a tough ask. You
just mentioned Netflix, and my mind's just going back to, I still have watched. I'm assuming we're still going to do a watch party of Electric State. Superman
at some point.
I just need to get around to pulling that up on, but I just can't. Man, they legit spent Endgame money on that, which that goes to show you like what the amount of money that Netflix can afford to just throw around on original projects. But also, again, man, Endgame money on something that doesn't.
Once again, the game is different when you're talking about what Endgame had to do to justify the money that it spent and what a streamer has to do. And people say that, but they try to equate it to a box office. Netflix that's not how they consider wins and losses. They consider wins and losses on retention and traffic. If Netflix retains and grows a little bit each time, that's a win for them, because that's stability. That means financiers and lenders are like, you're a good bet because you're making so much money and you're making a stagnant amount of money every month that any money we give you is going to make us money. You're a good bet. And that raises the value of your company. And when you're looking at the average price of a Netflix subscription and how many subscribers that they have, their gain is to maintain and grow. So $300 million for them, they made that like what, a quarter of a month? They pull in an immense amount of money. Now a box office is different. You streaming is different. The environment is different. So I think the comparison is kind of like just not there. Now, if you'd have spent that, when Fast and the Furious spent that kind of money on their movie, they had to come back because, that movie made money, but not as much as they could have made had they come in at a cheaper ticket. So, Aquaman 2, Jason. I don't know Jason Momoa's normal personality other than what I've ever seen him on screen. Let's see.
Oh, here's a good one from Aaron. Is A24 considered a small studio? They're small.
No,
they're small now, but they're on the come up. They're kind of like, I kind of liken them to Lionsgate, actually, like how Lionsgate gradually grew bigger and bigger. They of course they have a big, largely kind of at the Saw, but
once you reach the distribution level that they've reached, I don't consider them as large as obviously the big Universal, MGM, and Warner Brothers and things like that, but they're not like they're not like what Blumhouse was 6 years ago. Blumhouse now uses Universal as distribution, so they're really kind of not there.
Yeah, they're not catch up entertainment, and even catch up entertainment now they're they're the studio that saved Coyote versus Appius. Now they might get big now.
There's nothing. I don't care how much money they spent on that movie. That movie is awful.
Oh,
that movie literally almost killed that franchise, dude.
Yeah, it did. The Predator. Yeah, God, it's still, for my money, it's the worst of either Alien or Predator, the whole franchise. Either one. I mean, that is just
is really, that's a high bar when you configure when you figure Alien 3 is in there. When you consider Alien Resurrection is in there, when you consider when you consider some of the Alien versus Predator Requiem is in there, when you consider some of the really bad movies that are either singularly done or done as a combo, to say that that's the worst of them, that tells you something. And he's right. That is a horrible movie.
yeah, but we got Prey, and we got double header of Predator coming up this year.
Yeah, but you got him on Hulu because at the time nobody was like,
Predator Balance, that is going to theaters, but
that's going to theaters, but you wouldn't have. Prey would have been in theaters had the Predator had that.
And it's like I wasn't complaining. I mean, either way, it's like I'm just glad we got got another Predator. It did kill the franchise, and B, we got a Predator. In my money, I mean, I go back and forth. Like, it's neck and neck for me. It's like whether the original or Prey is the best of the series.
I think it's for me. This is all different. It's the original by like 1,000 miles, but that doesn't mean that Prey is not a brilliant movie. It's just that original one. There are just certain things that are in there that are so revolutionary done. The story works. It just works. Prey does too, but it's on a scale. But Predator 1987 is on a scale that hasn't been touched by any of the subsequent ones, and that's because it's one of those movies. You know what I mean? That's just for me. Nobody went to go see Brave New World because this is, by the way, I read this. This is a horrible comparison, but I'm used to that from you. Nobody went to see Brave New World because it won't clear the production project. Thunderbolts is set to underperform large. Actually, who's saying Thunderbolts?
Yeah,
Thunderbolts is not set to underperform.
Well, have they been done because they're getting pretty close to coming out. But I mean, have they done?
Yeah. No, it's there. They don't have an exact number, but there's nobody that can tell you it's going to underperform when they haven't put out what the expectations are. Okay, so this is probably in your top 20 of worst comparisons, and here's why.
We still love you for it.
Yeah, I still love you, man. I still want to push you off on another ladder. The problem is when you have the infrastructure and undercarriage that is the MCU, you no longer judge any particular movie as the whatever one way or another, because you have different platforms that people can come back and refer to these movies, even if they didn't go to see them in the theaters, and Disney can afford that, and they have the platform for that. Two, most of the time, especially going forward, it is part of a much larger engine that they're going to make their money in that engine. There's no one No one in their right mind is thinking that any of those Avengers movies is going to cost $1 billion easily. That formula is there. And I think Thunderbolts is going to do well. But in any case, if any of the lesser movies weren't doing, buku box office dollars, they have Disney Plus, which they also benefit from you going to watch them on Disney Plus. So they benefit. You're talking about a monster that has too many different ways to draw revenue off of things that may or may not do well, when most of them already have. Now, when you're talking about a smaller studio, you don't have that infrastructure. A lot of these movies aren't connected, and that's where the benefit of connectivity gets you with Marvel and MCU, is because it doesn't all have to be taken in by one in particular project. Whereas a small studio, you may only get that one story from that one studio at any given time. You're probably not going to get a sequel. So your justification for going crazy on a Marvel budget and a smaller studio budget, it's a difference between Venus and Earth. So bad comparison, but hey, nice try.
Daniel, chair, leaf, or ladder. Ooh, okay, I'm not quite sure what this analogy is here. 3 ladders and 2 leaves.
I don't know, man.
Can you clarify? Yeah,
I think he's talking more.
Can you clarify that for us, Daniel? How's it going, Bell Rev?
No. It exists for all platforms, but not at the magnitude of Disney Plus does. You can't compare with them because you already had a multi-billion-dollar source going into that platform before that platform even existed. Plus, you have the IP's uses on the parks, so they're diversified already. The diversification of what the MCU and Disney is, it doesn't lend itself to what you're saying. They're just too big at this point. Hi, Bill.
Oh, you're saying 4.
Oh, got you. Well, yeah.
Or the ladder blowing off accidentally.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna push. I'm gonna tell you outright.
Okay, can you clarify this whole ladder story? Like, did he actually come to
Vegas?
He was
in Vegas for Showmania when Lloyd Kaufman came out, and he was helping me run the USB and the HDMI through the thing. And he was on a ladder, and somehow he almost fell off the ladder on his own. But apparently I'm to blame. So if I'm going to get blamed for attempted murder, I may as well attempt it. Fuck it.
Oh, so now we have blame William. That's the new hashtag. So not blame Brad anymore.
Okay, what are you talking? Okay, your comparison doesn't hold up. Those same VOD platforms are where small movies pre-sale. Okay, but you just brought up Captain America and Thunderbolts, so you can't. What do you're having two different conversations. I'm all for those VOD platforms eating up these small movies. Like I told you, and you're basically echoing what I said. These movies, some of these smaller movies are not getting made without a VOD or a streaming platform. That's not the same for a movie like Captain America, Brave New World, or Thunderbolts, regardless of how they perform. They already have their revenue sources built in, whereas these movies, they have the justification built in saying, okay, if we don't make our money at a box office, we can make a POVD. Marvel already knows that they have that pipeline. They don't have to justify their expenditure on a movie like Thunderbolts, their production, but they don't have to. They know the pool of money that they're bringing in is so massive that they're not going to be hurt like that.
And Brave New World too, because I got it up right now. Budget was 180, and box office 413. So it did pretty good.
It's made its money. It's done. In a lot of these movies, like I said, once the story continues to get told. And it doesn't matter for them because it's going to be on Disney Plus. Once all these other movies start coming out, people just jump on Disney Plus.
And trust me, I wasn't that crazy about it. I just wasn't.
It's fun.
But trust me, in the landscape we're in the last couple of years, and certainly today, it's like 413 box office. Like that ain't bad. That ain't bad.
Yeah, it's a B movie because I like Sam Wilson, but he's not Captain America. He's not. This is like I said. I always use this analogy when it comes to Batman Beyond. This is why you ain't getting anytime soon a Batman Beyond live action.
Do you think? Now this is. Now COVID probably complicates this, but do you think with the way Endgame ended with Steve handing the shield to Sam? Do you think if they had gotten Brave New World out within like 2 years of that it would have done better or would have been better received?
No. because it's not Steve Rogers. It's not. That's the biggest thing that one of the biggest things that any of those movies like that have going against it. That they have established that Steve Rogers is Captain America. That's it. That's what the fans are going to want to see. When you say Captain America, if it's not Steve Rogers, then people will still go see it, but they're not going to rush out. Like if you were to do a roadie movie, as much as I enjoy Don Cheadle, that's a bomb. Not a bomb, but it's a break-even movie. It's right there, because Iron Man is what they paid to see. You groomed them on that, which is fine. But that's why I say when people say, "Well, Marvel can't do anything right these days," I'm like, "Yeah, they're not giving you their A-listers." And no one has ever been able to tell me on any platform, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, what's the last A-lister, the A-list Marvel character that struggled to do anything but make money.
Well, but I think that, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but I mean, I think the counter argument most people make to that is that the MCU collectively is kind of just A-list now.
No,
it's if you're a part of like the Avengers team, basically, you're A-list.
No,
again, I'm not saying that's my argument. I'm just saying
that's not even an argument. That's not even an argument because it goes against math. The argument dies with math steps on it. Because if you're going to say the entire MCU is A-list, there's just not the attraction. That's already been proven. That's already been proven when there's a certain body of characters, and you know who they are, that are not in these movies, that they're not going to make as much money. There's no argument there. There's no counter argument. There's no argument because that math is already there. You take your certain set of characters, you see how much their individual movies make and their collective movies make, and then you take the B-listers and you see how much they make. There's no argument there.
So what do you think?
You can count. There's no argument.
So what do you think? So, I mean, post Love and Thunder, what do you think Thor 5 does today?
About the same. If not a little bit more.
I don't think it does not outgross. Yeah. Not, I mean, Love and Thunder didn't even the peak of the series is Ragnarok.
It's a $750. Yeah, but it's still a $750 million movie. That's a blockbuster. That's success.
I think Thor 5.
Okay, remember when you're thinking, think with the evidence that you have, not your opinion. Think with the evidence that you have.
But it's not opinion that Thor: Love and Thunder underperformed Ragnarok.
But your standards don't mean anything to Marvel. When you say underperform, our opinions on underperform don't mean shit. Did it underperform for them? Is it a success for them? When you're talking, how much did Thor Love and Thunder pull in?
That did 760, and Ragnarok did.
That's a success.
855.
That's a success.
Yeah, I would bet you. If we got Thor 5 tomorrow. That's
me and you betting doesn't.
That's 600 tops.
No, I think it still breaches. I don't think you're going to release a Thor movie that doesn't breach at least 700 million. Now, when you're starting to get in the third and fourth of it, there's not a lot of franchise that really can maintain 1, 2, and 3 period, no matter how good they are. So no, I think it minimum is going to be 7. I ain't going to go see it because you fooled me 4 times. I hate the Thor movies, but the math doesn't lie when it comes to those movies. Thor's an A-lister. When's the last A-lister? So let's set 700 million, 750 million. That's a win. That's a tremendous win. So let's say do it this way to make it easy. What's the last A-list Marvel movie with an A-lister in it that pulls in less than that? If we use Thor: Love and Thunder as the lowest, which is really good, when's the last one that did
a piece of shit the movie is too?
Yeah, it's fucking garbage. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending the movie, but I'm talking about if you're saying Thor: Love and Thunder is the bottom for an A-lister, that's still more than any other ones that weren't involved in the Infinity Saga.
Yeah, but I mean, when you say that, kind of remind. I mean, this is like a objection to the math, but it's more like I don't know. I kind of think of that like it's similar when you tell me that Justice League 2017 still played on cable, and I think it's an intro to the movie for some people. It's like just
different animal.
The
fact you're getting your opinion and your emotion about that movie mixed up with the reality of that movie. I hate the 2013. I'm with you. I hate it. But for business sakes, it's there for a reason. Is it a reason why it's on my damn TV? For once, I don't want it. I don't watch it
in the year of our Lord 2025.
Listen, dude,
that's the version of the movie that even one person is introduced
to the choir. You're preaching to the choir. But when you're talking about, when Marvel has not missed with an A. Now I don't like all their A-list movies. We spoke about one that I really don't like, and a series of movies I really don't like.
I don't know if I'd quite go this far.
Listen, I didn't. I'm not a fan. I'm with you, Check. I'm not a fan.
I mean, I would agree. His best moments of or the best movies that have Thor in them are Avengers movies.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the character is better when he's amongst the A-listers.
Daniel says Thor: Love and Thunder way. Yes, that is definitely true.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yes, Aaron and I were talking about this earlier. The A24, there's a talk of them doing a remake of Bloodsport. So yeah, bring it on.
I'm really not the biggest fan of the original. Sorry.
Oh, we got it. And you took down the buzzer too, because I started using it on you. So you like, okay, we got to take that out of the equation.
That's not okay. No, I don't. I think it's gonna do really well. I think Thunderbolts looks like a fucking
I think it's kind of a wild card. I
don't know where to put it though, but as far as because I don't know what the expectations are.
Well,
I don't think it's gonna outperform Fantastic Four, and I don't think it's gonna outperform. Well, I don't know about Superman. I think I think they're both but one of them has the MCU behind it, and one of them.
I think Thunderbolts. It's the biggest wild card of our CBMs this year. So, yeah, it's like I don't know. I could see it outdoing Brave New World. I could definitely see it outdoing Brave New World.
Well, but once again, I could see that too, but we're headed to the A-list now. See, Thunderbolts is basically your doormat. And what's the next MCU movie? Bam. Yeah. So, and I think that one's going to do really well. But yeah, Marvel hasn't missed with their A-listers yet. And when they do, that's when the conversation is going to be like, now, like say, for instance, just for argument's sake, if Fantastic Four doesn't do well, now you start having to rethink things, maybe. But I don't think that's a chance in hell that movie's not going to do tremendous.
Bell Rev. Yeah. You're preaching to the choir here. It's like, again, that was prime. Van Damme in his prime. That was his breakout, was Bloodsport.
Van Damme had a prime. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, again, like the king of splits, man. Megan 2.
No, I think Megan 2 is going to do well. The first one was a hit.
And that's we're getting that time of year now where it's like I start looking at like what's coming out in the summer, and like thinking, okay, what's going to be like the what's going to really be like out of the highlight reel, or what's going to do well, et cetera, et cetera.
Like I said, one for me next week. I'm going to see Sinners. That's going to be the first one for me.
I keep forgetting that's coming out. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, we're in the theater for that one. William, what could have Brave New and the Bold done differently? Brave New. I'm sorry. Well, I'm reading that right in front of me, and I'm putting in words that are not even there. Sorry, Daniel. William, what could Brave New Worlds have done differently, or is the box office appropriate for the character? I think the box office is appropriate for the character. To be honest with you, it's just you have a Hulk, but it's not the Hulk, and even the Hulk is kind of watered down at this point.
Yeah,
but it's Captain America that's not Steve Rogers. And a lot of people try to ask me that you think it was because he was black. I'm like, no. Even though I know that's out there for some people, no.
If that's out there over 400 million, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, it would be if Sam Wilson had been Captain America for nearly a century, as Steve Rogers has, and not just that. Just forget about the people who pick up comics. Just the people who have started watching him just in these movies. It's always been Steve Rogers. So whoever you bring in, no matter what color they are, if it's not Steve Rogers, it's going to take a dip. That doesn't mean that's you shouldn't make it every now and then. You have to tell your story, but it's the same thing when it's somebody that's established like that. Every Batman movie has had Bruce Wayne as Batman. So it's when you go for this, expect a dip. Now Marvel can afford to have a movie like this, and it doesn't really matter how it performs. DC they're not going to get behind like a Batman Beyond with a live action, because they can't afford to lose that kind of money, and nobody's going to invest in that movie without Bruce Wayne. So
let's see what else you guys got.
Ant-Man doesn't have any fanboys. Not outside the Avengers now. And that movie did okay. They just the second one, it's like I actually, I actually like the second one.
I like the first. I like the first one. The after again, I don't.
Yeah.
I
like the whole thing where he's in the
I only remember there are only two things I remember about the second
ants
two.
playing the drums and shit.
The only thing I remember about the second one was literally the only thing I remember about the second one is just the end credits scene because that tied into Infinity War. And then the thing I remember most about
of the whole van scene.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then
this is a bad.
Yeah, it's not one of his better ones.
Bad. I saw this in the movie theater. He's fucking horrible as an actor. He's his usual great martial artist. And like I said, back in the 90s, you knew when you were popping down your money for a combat, you weren't going to see anybody that could act. You were going to see a guy who could do some amazing stunt work.
I remember actually when I started getting into Van Damme movies. I remember seeing my uncle because when I started getting into like Van Damme and a lot of the action movie guys at that age. I remember my uncle telling me at the time, it's like, there is some. He's even this comment. So yeah, there's some kind of like a correlation between like good karate and bad acting. So
yeah, there's really. Do you know what really sucks? There hasn't been. The people who manage these people great are the ones that just get as much talking dialogue out of them as they need to move the role on. That's it. With the other ones that try to act and it's cardboard, it's like, oh, just.
Well, he's gotten good in like his latter day work. He's actually developed a lot of range, Van Damme. So it's
compared to what he was, that's like saying I moved a couple of feet forward.
And Scott Adkins, he's always had range. Michael J. White say a lot of the modern guys actually have kind of more range than like the 80s, 90s guys. So
of course, I'm not bringing up any of those comments because I don't have any. This is not the kind of platform.
Yeah,
for that, and I don't have any.
I actually saw Aaron share that, and it's like, I mean, we're not getting it. That's not what we do as a show, and it's always
everybody until he
give
is
their day in court.
Yeah, he gets due process.
I did actually see that they are currently denying that whole thing. So we'll see where that goes, if that goes anywhere, or if it turns out to be nothing. But yeah, it's again, you let people have their day in court. Just like break out the pitchforks and torches just on someone says off with his head.
Yep, there's a court system. All right, anybody got anything else going on today? It wasn't a lot of big. Like I said, I showed the Predator thing. I thought that was amazing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's see what else we got. Knockoff was pretty good. Yeah, that's because that was basically like that was like a Hong Kong one he did. I mean, it's an American movie, but it didn't. And that's when you get me talking enough on this topic, when I talk about like Hong Kong action specifically, that's where I really the nerd in me comes out.
That's where I get lost. That's why I have no purpose on the show, because I'm not into that stuff. Unless
we really got Aaron and I, we really got to like start that like Kung Fu offshoot.
I told you because it dies here on the Sci-Fi Center.
There's one coming. There's one coming up. This is called The Furious. I put that on my like KFK list, the top 15 most anticipated. God, I can't wait to see the trailer and get more info on that, because that's like, oh man, that sounds so amazing to me. They call it The Furious. Look it up. Just The Furious is not The Fast and the Furious. And that's we could do it. That's the thing about The Fast and the Furious is that the paradox of that is that it's not technically sci-fi, but it is so far removed from reality at this point that it kind of qualifies.
Well, it's exaggeration. Where do I think the EB? Or wherever it's going, it needs to fucking get there fast. Man, they are. I don't. Whatever it is, it cannot go to all out. Whatever resolution, and they fucked up again tonight with the whole John Moxley thing. I need the belt off of John Moxley. I know that they're trying to do something special with Swerve, but they got to get to it. They got to get to it because they're running the risk. They put on an excellent pay-per-view the other night, but with a tore up ass ending. And I said, okay, let's wait till Wednesday. And I didn't get the kind of explanation that I needed for whatever happened. And you have Double or Nothing on May 25th. By the way, the first time Double or Nothing is not here in Las Vegas, other than the COVID year, which kind of sucks because I really enjoyed going to Double or Nothing. But I'm not going to Arizona because the only reason why Double or Nothing is not here in Vegas is because WrestleMania is here in Vegas, and they were worried about oversaturating the market with two major shows. And I can understand that as somebody who's going to be attending some of these things, your wallet can only go so far. So they're going to do it in Arizona, which is fine. But yeah, they got Double or Nothing. So that's May 25th, but I'm sorry, that's too long. I don't want to wait till May 25th. They need to have him drop this title on TV and move on. So I don't know.
Yeah. Do we think Marvel is holding off the multiverse A-list or still Secret Wars like Wolverine and Toby Spider-Man?
No, I think they're going to place them where it's relevant to their story. So I think you're going to see them I think they will culminate. I think you will see the majority of them in those two movies. But I don't think you're going to, I don't think you're going to see them. I don't think you're going to see Toby Spider-Man until like the second movie. And that's like 4 years away. But I think you will see them where they're relevant. Obviously, I think you'll see some in Fantastic Four. Some of them will come over. I think you'll see some in the subsequent movies that they have going on. I don't think you'll see any in Spider-Man 4. But yeah, I think they will place them where they are relevant. I think you might see if Doctor Strange, depending on when Doctor Strange's movie comes in, I think you'll definitely, because he's already begun the whole multiverse story.
And are they going to pay off that whole third eye thing and like Charlize? Because I think. And I say this as somebody who actually likes Multiverse of Madness, probably a lot more than most people. But I mean, it's like, do people even remember that end credit scene now?
They'll remember it.
They're going to need.
They'll remember it when it needs.
They haven't even paid off the end credit scene for the first Doctor Strange yet.
But when you're talking about, it's not going to be an issue. They'll when you get to the point where Fantastic Four becomes part of it, Reed Richards is going to be the only one that's going to be able to relate to what There's only a few people that are going to be able to completely understand what's going on, and that's it's going to be Deadpool, it's going to be Loki, it's going to be Doctor Strange, and the Fantastic Four for the most part. Everybody else is going to have to be pretty much convinced or have it read out. But Doctor Strange is going to play a major role in all this, so I expect to see him. I expect to see multiversal characters in his movie,
and he's gonna do the thing with the time. So okay, this time This time we win in 2 different alternate realities. That's what he's going to say. Oh, yes, Aaron, I would be. Hey, you took down Aaron's. Oh, so when they happened, that almost happened. Mine's right.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, yeah, I remember.
I'm doing just fine without it.
Well,
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. They are part of the Marvel universe of Sony. And
if they bring back Madam Web, okay, then it's like, okay.
It's just going to be like a cameo. It'll be like a 5-second thing. I don't think she's going to play any relevant role.
But if they bring her back, then it's like, okay, now it's like, then it's okay. What the hell are we doing, DC? Where it's like everybody who's ever been, it's like every possibility but this, as far as like comebacks. Okay. I'm gonna lose it on that.
Well, Vulture's a Sony character, so they don't. All Spider-Man movies and all Spider-Man associated movies are Sony, so like they could bring him back if they wanted to.
Yeah, well, I mean, they already got Dakota Johnson, but in the abstract, she could have been probably a pretty good Madam Web. Although, but she has said, yeah, I'm kind of done with comic book movies after that. She had a. Now we've heard actors say that before, like come back many times, but. I mean, go watch the movie. It's like
they don't need her. They don't really need her to tell the story.
Not only they not need her, she doesn't need them, and she's kind of. You can tell from watching the movie, like everybody's just sleepwalking through making that thing.
Yeah, they had people pay paychecks all the time.
I remember
they never do.
And yeah, it's like I said, it's like actors say, yeah, I'm done with CBMs all the time, and then we see them come back. So it's like you don't. That's always something very much take with a grain of salt. But in her case, I think it's probably sincere because it's like, again, like. I remember like when Mad Web came out, like William, like that night, like William and I, we both mutually saw it. We're DMing each other saying it's like the last 20 minutes, that should have been the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it really should have been the core of the movie, but Sony was afraid to make their own Spider-Man movie. They weren't stopped. Mm-hmm. Why is Fisk have rights stuck at Sony? And he was because Sony allowed it to happen. Sony made a deal with Fox for that character to appear there. That's it. That simple. What about the Inhumans, Cloak and Dagger, and Runaways? They cut all bait. Everything's on the table because they're all Marvel. So I don't know who's going to be there, who's not. I don't know to degree they'll be there. I'm not. I don't think they're. It's going to be like forever. I don't think you're going to see like a 5-minute segment with any of it. But
we'll pull up Aaron's and go. Yes, this would be cool, Aaron.
What?
This call it a blood sport TV show and call it Kumite.
Okay, you guys, you and her need to just get a kung fu whatever going on. You're just like it's like It's like you're watching a TV show and somebody cuts in a language that you don't speak or understand.
You mean like this? There's more conversations about Hillary Swank being another Karate Kid movie again. That's the one thing everybody kind of like wished the Cobra Kai had done. And apparently they made the effort. They just weren't able to make it happen for whatever reason. So yeah, that's like the final piece of the puzzle with the Karate Kid now. It's like bring Hillary Swank back.
Yay.
Oh, lame.
I think that the Fantastic Four could do. No, they're not going to. They're not going to touch some humans.
What's going to come out first? Beyond Spider? Oh, yeah. I think Beyond the Spider-Verse at this point probably will. What, and even I think it's even dated ahead of Batman too, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when these movies will come out, when they come out, I want them sooner? Yeah, but I understand why. These are practical reasons that happen. It's not magic. It's not, there's no elves that get together and spin, straw into gold to make these movies. These are practical things. There's a legitimate reason that the star of the Batman might not be shooting it at any given time, even though I think it won't be too far off. It's still, you have a shot at a movie like Dune 3 that is going to win a shit ton of Oscars and make a lot of money and is a legacy movie versus a role that you already have. That role's not leaving. It's not like if you don't start shooting tomorrow, somebody else is the Batman. So I don't see an issue here personally. No, I'm not. I don't think you'll see the Beyonder anyway.
Is he cast as Beyonder?
No, he's not. He's just fucking with me.
No.
You won't need the Beyonder. See, the problem is the thing about the current MCU storyline is you don't need to be Beyonder because you already have a character for Doctor Doom to usurp when and if he gets to that reality, and that's already there. It's Loki. So you don't need the Beyonder. Was a stiff. He was a lame ass character because they couldn't write a story. In my opinion, they used him as a writer crutch because he was this omnipotent being. It was just fucking lame. Can we do a poll? Which streaming service do you prefer, Disney or Max? I'm not in the control area where I can do a.
Look at this one here.
I saw it.
So you're not trying to hide anything more for us. It's like, yes, I'm. All these other like, oh, I'm Brad's phone or I'm William's pants or whatever. It's like, okay.
The cape stuff makes money. I mean, I hate to say it.
It does, yeah. Well, not only that, it's every time we do, it makes money and it gets butts in seats or it gets views. I mean, like every time with our watch parties, we do, whether for charity or whether just friends getting together. I mean, we could tell you, like watching the numbers, as alum, it's like, Man of Steel, BVS, CSGL. It's like those bring out big time turnouts. Every time.
You have two things I have no use for in the sentence: Fancast and the Beyonder. So sorry.
Good. If you had said Keanu Reeves, that would have been a deal breaker, man.
Nah, I mean he's not my top actor of all time, but at the same time, I don't.
It is not.
I'm not a big Fancast guy.
It's not humanly possible to not love Keanu.
I know a lot of people who don't think he can act. I know a lot of people who don't like him. I mean, that doesn't mean anything to me, but there's a lot of people.
I can assure you they're lying to you.
No. It's an opinion.
You're not the Fly? Okay. We don't believe you.
What is there any comic property that you enjoy? Wow, that's a lot, dude. I mean, obviously we've been rolling with the Absolute Universe, but there is, I mean, I kind of, Daniel, if you watch some of our recommendations of shows, you'll see there's a recommendation. There's a short recommendation in the shorts area that generally the stuff that I recommend in that segment is the stuff that I'm reading, and it's easier for me to enthusiastically get other people in there. Obviously, Daredevil, Batman right now is really good. Absolute Batman is excellent. All the Absolute titles are good. The Marvel Ultimates is good. I mean, there's a lot of Miles Morales Spider-Man, not Peter Parker. They're going to have to do some work there. But yeah, there you go. But right now, if I were to outright endorse somebody coming through my door, as a current storyline going on, it's going to be Absolute easily. Does WWE need 2 tag women's division? No, they barely need the one. To be honest with you. Are you serious, Curly? This way? That was a really long.
Yeah. It's like back in 93, wasn't it?
95. Yeah. Long movie. That was one of the longest, most boring movies. It wasn't even, you know what? It wasn't even a bad movie. it's just, oh my God. All right, we're not, no more Cobra Kai stuff here.
Oh, you mean like this
And
Cobra Kai stuff?
no,
Or
we
just
need to, push that stuff forward. Do I need to play the theme song again? There is no kung fu or karate in it. Hold on. Wait, let's go ahead.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock. We're here to take you there.
All right, we don't need to watch the whole thing, but I assure you, there's as much kung fu in the second half of that than there is in the first half of that, which is zero.
guys, the Karate Kid Legends. Okay,
Is
we had the reboot in
science
2010. It was
fiction,
disconnected,
horror,
and now it's
fantasy.
being retrofitted
I
into the
have
main
given
series.
this man the
I reached into the
opportunity
multiverse.
to have his own show where he can scream to the high heavens about all of that stuff. We get an audience of people who will be
Aaron,
like, wow.
Aaron, I'm gonna get with you. It's like we're gonna make this happen. It's like we like coordinate this
I mean,
somehow. Like whether we do like how we're gonna make this happen. We're making this happen, okay? Because it's like no more of this, okay? We are making this like this Sci-Fi Center offshoot. Let's gotta work on the title. We are making this happen, Aaron. You heard it tonight, guys. We are making this happen.
I don't have any Megan comics now.
Yeah.
No, they did the sleazy. That's Vince's stuff, and now I know why Vince was doing the kind of stuff that he was doing. And I think wrestling in general needs to get as far away from that as possible.
Yeah, mud wrestling again. That's in that context of him. That's maybe a euphemism.
There are some stories in the '90s I did enjoy. I didn't enjoy what the bulk of the '90s did to the industry. I mean, it was tragic. It was just let's sell as many comics as we can, which is like that's part of it, right? I understand that, but the difference between the '90s and any other era is we weren't building customers. We were just trying to get every Tom, Dick, and Harry to buy a particular copy of something. Most of those people who came on for Superman 75 disappeared. They didn't help build the industry. They weren't coming in to become readers. They weren't coming in to become part of our brotherhood. They were coming in because they thought they were going to get some media-driven shit that was going to be worth something, in time. And that's, it's in a black bag with a red S on it. It's going to be $1 million. I can send my kid to college on this. And you had Nightfall. Then you had Exo, man. You had Valiant, which took the chromium cover from something that was super special and rare, and to every monthly issue of whatever had a variant of and it wasn't special. Everything that went on in the '90s just wasn't special because it wasn't done, in my opinion, to build a long-term customer. It was done to get some speculator buyer to buy as many copies as possible, but there was no plan to ever turn that person into somebody that would be with you for 4 or 5, 6 years. And that's why Death of Superman, Nightfall, those stories like that, you may have a varying opinion of those stories. As somebody who was open during those times and selling comic books during those times, I saw what it did, and it's just not something I look fondly on. However, you had Fatal Attractions, which was a good story in X-Men. You had Tank Girl. You have the entirety of Tank Girl in the mid-'90s that was good. You had The Mask. Forget about the goofiness of the movie. The actual comic book was a very dark and violent comic, and it was great. You had a lot of good stuff on the '90s, but the collectors were buying that stuff. The speculators were the ones that were buying all the other stuff. And that's the problem. And then it kind of collapsed. And then next thing you know, Marvel's looking around, and here we go near bankruptcy, nearly being sold at a dirt cheap price entirely. Somebody made the wise decision to start selling off IPs to get them enough money to stay afloat. And then, the 2000s happened, and then 2008 happened. So give Marvel credit. They did what they did long enough to hang around, because the 90s and the way comic books were being done in the 90s and sold in the 90s, they didn't do anybody any favors, and neither did DC. DC had Warner Brothers backing them, though, and it was never going to go bankrupt. So, but all these other little independents, all these other ones, man, the print runs on some of these things in the 90s was absolutely astronomical. So yeah, the 90s wasn't a good time. I lived it. It's not like I'm looking back in a history book or looking back on a YouTube video. I lived it. It sucked. Sorry. That's possible. Okay, so see now it's time to end the stream because you guys are doing shit like this. So
Oh, you
right.
mean the one the spinoff that the writer outright said is a Blade Runner spinoff and takes place in the regular universe?
All right, don't embarrass yourselves on
I
on
can
on a
pull up
platform
Wikipedia if we have to.
that honors Blade Runner as the religion that it is. Do not become the blasphemers on you are in church right now, people. All right, C squared isn't absolute the same 90 thing the 90s did with extreme and violent reboots and reboots. No, absolutely no. I'm just answering your question. Absolutely not. What they did in the 90s to me was just attention grabbing for the most part. They didn't really reboot anybody with violence. They told darker stories, but that's not why the sales went down. The sales went down is because they weren't really, the marketing wasn't geared towards a collector that was going to, to be the bedrock. And this is just my opinion. Other comic book stores that were around in the 90s might have a different opinion. This is just, I'm giving you mine. No, what absolute DC is doing, yeah, Batman is violent, yeah, Wonder Woman is violent, but there's a story there that is meant to be a foundation going forward. Scott Snyder has explicitly said that it is his mission is to bring you back if you've been away or to get you started if you're just starting. That was not the case in the 90s. Not the case at all. All right. Oh, that's because Sam Keith was drawing him. I didn't mind that, but it was just the story was just like everyone's coming in. Oh, do you have the issue where Batman gets his back broken? Weren't going to read an issue before. Probably wasn't going to read too many issues afterwards. They just wanted that one in that same cover. Hey, yeah, no, in that case, because I wasn't open when Superman's death. I opened it next year, and like I said, Steven called me up, say, hey, I got some confidence yourself. I'm thinking you got some good shit that I can actually turn over. Nope. I got like 4 or 5 of them, dude. You're going to make so much money. I'm like, what? I still have some of that stuff in storage, dude. So, yeah. All right, guys. I think that's where we're going to wrap it up because I don't think this is going to get any better the longer the stream goes. So, tomorrow's Thursday. I don't know if I'm going to be online Thursday or Friday. I don't know. And this weekend is going to be kind of tough. Now, next week, I'm going to be sparingly. I am going to be bringing you coverage from wrestling events that I go to. I'm going to be bringing you coverage from the wrestling event that we are hosting at the Sci-Fi Center. I am going to be bringing you coverage from WrestleCon as I get my big gold belt. You can't see it because it's laying flat. And my TNA World Championship signed. And my IWGB V4, which is going to be signed by the Great Muta. If you don't know who he is, Google him. Google him. He's one of the great Japanese wrestlers ever to do it, and he's a fucking legend. And he was IWGB champion. He's gonna get that. I've already got to go to sign that belt, which is Okada. Okada signed my V4, but the Great Muta, he's got it. He's got to be on there too. Ric Flair is going to be there, and this time I will not be leaving the Westgate without my big gold signed by Ric Flair. And then it's going into a frame because I don't think I'm going to get Ricky's Dragon Steamboat anytime soon. Your belt? No, that's my belt. He had a mullet for about 6 months, 7 months. And it, like I said, that to me visualizes just where I just had no use for that storyline. The only thing good to come out of that storyline was the mid-90s version of the Green Lantern. That's it. And all these Superman, the reign of Superman. If I had a bird, and I know this is extreme, and I know some people love that. If I had a bird and I had some newspaper to put at the bottom of this cage, and I had Reign of Superman, I'm using Reign of Superman.
So William said something about birds, and we're gonna
All right.
Yeah.
And guess what? Since there were so many copies printed of Reign of Superman, it's probably more plentiful than the newspaper.
So anyway, John Henry Irons is really awesome on Superman.
No, it's not. Then what? Like it's this is all great. To like I said, why do we have the 90s that I remember? Why can't you give those books away?
If DC movies don't capitalize on opportunities, the Flash movie opens up. Well, I think we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah, I can do that.
I mean, what you said multiple times, William, you find circumstances and underperformance notwithstanding, you think that in for something along those lines as far as the Flash.
I think that he's going to use the Flash as a tool to reshape things the way he needs them to be without destroying things that he doesn't need to destroy. He has no use just because he's starting his thing. Now, that doesn't mean he's doing anything with those things, but that means that those things can stay there until he or someone is ready for them. And I think that'll be fine for me. All right, anchovies on pizza. Anchovies aren't bad. They're salty as hell, though. I mean, I usually end up picking them off of it, not because they're nasty, but because they're too spicy for me. Like I said, I try not to think about 90s DC or Marvel, to be honest with you, on any level. There are some storylines that we can go over that are really great, but as a whole, oversaturation was the term we used.
During the 90s, Superman and Captain Planet looked yeah, they do kind of look alike with their molds. Yeah.
It's a pretty popular car. I cannot believe how popular that cartoon was. Then again, I was watching Power Rangers in my 20s, so there you go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's it. That's it. I don't think, like I said, you're bringing up the 90s. You're bringing up 90s comic books, and I need to sleep tonight. I don't need to relive the 90s comic books. In fact, I need to go watch something.
Well, next time we'll bring up 90s movies like Blade.
We already. It's not like we don't
yeah, it's not like we
about
can
Blade.
stop the chat and bring it up.
No, we don't. We've never not talked about Blade. When we start talking about Blade is when people get stupid and start, making Blade into the Godfather Part 2 and giving Blade some kind of influence on things. And I know it's mostly trolling, but that's where I end the conversation because, like I said, I have an obligation to not make my channel look silly. And when you say Blade was a forebringer of comic book movies, I obligated. It is my role as a host not to embarrass the channel. So there you go. All right. Brad could be Captain Planet. That's kind of.
I could be Captain Planet.
I know. In the mall, we're gonna be. All right, guys. I may or may not have the energy to be on tomorrow. Eventually, we're probably gonna end up settling on a schedule that is like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or something like that. Even if I have to do double duty on Friday with Boxer Stream, if I'm on for as long as it'll have me. Hell, he may next week say, fuck you, I don't need you. But so far, so good. So yeah, we'll I'm gonna try to get back to Friday night streams at the store. I'm also, because I don't like the way I'm sounding at the store, it is driving me crazy. And I think it's primarily because I'm in an area like this with this microphone, but I'm enclosed. I'm not enclosed at the store. If you guys have ever seen where I'm sitting,
in there,
it's driving me nuts, man. And every time when I show you guys what the store is, I'm sitting in a big open area. And I think my sound doesn't sound as sharp and as focused. If you listen to me and you listen to everybody else, and I've switched out mics. Now, I'm also going to try something else. I'm going to switch out a computer and see if that works. But that computer I've used that computer here and it sounded fine. But I'm very finicky about that. If there's something about the show I can fix, I try to fix it. So I'm fixing all this. While I'm on WrestleMania week, my sabbatical that I'll be not spending as much time at the store, I'm going to be spending it finally trying to make steps to get this other studio, because I don't want to stream from here as much as I want to stream from there, because it's a bigger area with better camera angles that I can use. But I am going to show you something before I go. I am working on, for those of you guys who don't follow me on Instagram, you heathens, you need to. But I've been working on some stuff that, trying to that I finally, my mind has finally stopped changing to where I'm happy with where I'm at on this section here. So this is one of the sections I'm working on. There we go. This is the absolute section. Now, don't mind the fact that nothing is in order right now. I just get this up there to do measurements. If you can see that the wood is bare, I built these by hand. So the wood is bare, but that's going to get painted. That's going to get painted to black and to red. That are the primary colors of this universe. So there you go from the side angle. So, but now it goes from the bottom level is basically at your knees, and then that top level is at the top of the ceiling, as you can see the ceiling there. So there they are right there. So all the generally what's going to happen is they're going to be in order of months and weeks. So the top level will be the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, and 4s, and then we'll cycle them out. There's a back issue bin that you can't see on the bottom of it that were the ones that do not in the 4-week rotation will be. And there you go. That's a good a sign of it. Something else I wanted to show you. There's a dark side. I just sold that this weekend, by the way.
Oh yeah, I saw you put that.
Yes, I got a few more of those in. All right, so I'm making a super. Well, I actually have a Superman section, but I have a globe. That globe is going to get bolted into where my left hand is, and I have the surrounding thing for the Daily Planet, and it's going to spin. So on the top of all that, you'll have the Daily Planet, and I think there you go. If you need to be down in Vegas getting these buttons, damn it. If you don't have one of these buttons, I don't believe in you. That's wrestling. That's the violin store. That's the sunset of my parking lot. I try to take a picture of the sunset every weekend day that I'm there, because none of these fucking sunsets are guaranteed. The sunrises aren't either, but when I appreciate the sunsets. My Star Trek section. This was when I reviewed this. I reviewed this on the show last week. More wrestling. Another day. That's the Green Lantern #1. Those are all the covers. Like I said, not a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to that. Somebody ordered that for me. God loves man kills. Pretty expensive. More wrestling. I wanted to get to the Batman section I built. It's Rocky Horror. That's the thing we did the other night. There's I showed you guys this already. There's my that's 6 shots in there. That wasn't a good idea. And there's Hush. I literally. This is why I was doing this show. I took this picture, and when I came and sat down, if you guys were watching that show, you'll know that I sold that one I had in my hand. All right, so this is the Batman section I'm working on. The back section there is going to get painted black. I finally decided on how I wanted to do this. None of those are in order because I'm taking everything down and painting that top portion. So the top row is Batman, the middle section is Detective, and then the lower section is Batman, the family, like the Robins and all that, and then that's the top. You can kind of see where my popcorn bucket is. That popcorn bucket actually lights up, and you can't see it, but I'm going to have a cloud thing on top so that the Batman signal goes on there. So there you go. There's that. And then, let's see. There's the guy I sent to WonderCon, which, like I said, I did not get a chance to go to that, but I was able to be there in presence. And then there it is. Sorry, we're now officially a press outlet. See that? The Sci-Fi Center presents.
Awesome.
Get us in the damn Comic-Con now. God damn it. All right. So there we go. All right. So that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So I see you tomorrow because something came up to talk about. But otherwise, I don't want to do an open topic without any, unless I come up with a theme. So until then, do I have any vintage IT? Not too many. My clientele doesn't really go for that. And no, I did not have a mullet at any given time, ever. Period. Most of my life, I've had my hair short like this. I'm getting existential. What are you talking about?
Most of my life, I had my hair long like this. So.
All right, cool. That's about it, guys. I will see you for sure on Saturday.
All right. Later, guys.
For sure on Saturday. Bye.